forgot to hit the go live. Go. Sorry, we've introduced Peter Brown. Sorry about that. It's my fault. Talk through it again, Vince. That's my fault.
Are we live?
Yeah, we are now. I forgot to hit. I thought I'd hit go live, and we're not. So I'm really sorry. So I'm thinking there's no viewers. So yeah. So
good evening, everyone. This is Blue Sunday on the Jumper Punch channel, and it's an absolute treat to be part of this wonderful channel with the boys Rocco, Mars, and Paul, who do their Jumper Punch program every Tuesday night. And of course, they've got their own channel, which airs a lot of interviews with past players and coaches and famous people at Carlton. And we've got one of them right here who's already been part of an interview on the Jumper Punch channel last year. And it's an absolute treat to have him with us tonight. And I speak, of course, of 1979 Premiership player Peter Brown. Welcome, Brownie. Good
evening,
good of you
guys.
to join us, mate.
again, I'm really sorry, Peter. Very sorry, Vince. I thought I'd
That's
hit
all right.
go live, and then I lost it. So I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Not
These
a
things
problem.
happen. That's the
problem.
beauty
How are
of
you-
live
how are you guys?
television, they say.
Never work with idiots and kids. I fit both.
Doesn't matter. We haven't lost that
Anyway.
much time.
So Vince,
Anyway,
why
we should
don't
explain
you
quickly
introduce?
Brownie's background
Okay.
quickly. Played
Yeah.
35 games at Carlton, kicked 38 goals, predominantly played in the forward line, and his most famous game, of course, was that 1979 Premiership, where he started at full forward and eventually moved down back when Alex Jeslenko went off with an injury and played the rest of the game in the back line. So it was a very famous win, Brownie, and no doubt one that you treasure forever.
Oh, look, it's certainly a part of my life that at the time, being as young as I was, I possibly didn't enjoy it nor understand the significance of it until later in life. And obviously, when someone says to you that you're a part of that, yes, it resonates, but come grand final day when there's a start before the bounce and things like that, you still get a little bit nervous every now and then because of the situation that you were involved with.
Yes. Yeah, and I guess you've still kept your eye on Carlton over the years, and it's a club that you still hold close to your heart, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You don't play with a club and go through playing in a premiership side without it being a significance in your life. That's for sure.
Indeed. Look, we've got a comment already from one of our viewers, Sandra McDonald. Good to see you, Sandra. Brownie looks younger now than he did in '79. He looks better anyway.
Anyway,
maybe not younger, but certainly better.
Vince, what would you? Now that I've kept him, why don't you introduce our second mystery guest?
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm sure that this past player would be very well known to most Carlton people. And I speak, of course, of the great Vinny Catoggio, who played 71 games for Carlton, 97 goals, and played between the years 1973 and 1980. And there he is, looking as young and sprightly as ever, Vinny, and the hair's looking just as good as ever, mate.
Good to be on.
Not as much of it.
Yeah. How you going, Brownie?
I'm good, Vinny. What about yourself?
Yeah. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, good to see
You are looking younger these days.
Jeez, you need your eyes
I
checked.
think you've been very kind.
So Vince, why don't you tell us some statistics about the young Vincent Catoggio?
Well, I just did.
Vince
71
Yeah.
games, 97 goals, and between the years of 73 and 1980, and then of course went off to Melbourne, and eventually to the Sydney Swans, I think, where you finished your career, Vince.
Yeah, had a few games there. Yep.
Yeah.
How did
Obviously,
you find
Carlton
Sydney,
is still
Vince?
closest to your heart than the other two. That's for sure, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, I don't really think about those other sides. I think you know the look, I think as Brownie said, we had a great period of time where we a good side. So yeah, the memories always go back there.
Fantastic. By the way, everyone, if you're watching out there, you feel free to take part in our show tonight by posting your comments or asking any questions you like, or anything you'd like to express. Do it on our YouTube page, The Jumper Punch, and make sure you like and subscribe and do all of those sorts of things that really help the channel out. We really appreciate that. So we want your involvement as often as we can, and we'll certainly put up your relevant comments up on screen, won't we, Joe?
Absolutely. And here's one from Peter. Loved that mosquito fleet of the late 70s and 80s. Yeah, so did we.
Yeah, I don't think Brownie was part of the mosquito fleet somehow.
Well, he'll take it though. He'll take it. Now, Vince, we had a game on Thursday night.
Indeed.
Carlton played Richmond. I'm sure the boys still have a hatred of the yellow and crap, or yellow and black. I call them yellow and crap. They promised a lot, Vince. They said that they'd learned how to ice games.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I didn't see any difference other than a couple of people. What are your thoughts, Vin? Vince? I have to say Vin and Vince.
Me? We'll use Vince for me and
tonsils.
Vin for him. Yeah.
Your golden tonsils.
Look, I guess you couldn't really blame anyone for coming to the conclusion that the boys haven't learnt much since the last couple of rounds of 2022 by failing to hold on to that 6-point lead with only a minute to go. Look, I don't know. What else could they have done differently? We can all pull it apart and comment from the grandstand. In the pressure of the situation, couple of little things that could have gone our way might have iced the game, especially if Lockie O'Brien's pass had been a little earlier. And maybe if Harry Mackay hadn't have fallen over, he might have actually marked that one. But
Blake Acres dropped the mark.
These are the things that happen in games, and you can isolate all of the various little incidents, especially in those last couple of minutes. But I actually felt we were very lucky to even be a goal in front because, frankly, Richmond dominated most of the game in possession, especially in their forward line. They had far more inside 50 entries, and somehow we managed to still be a goal in front with a minute to go. And I guess when you find yourself in that position, you should be able to hold on. But again, we failed to do so.
May I just
go
in?
Yes, go Pete. Go Pete.
There's a couple of things that came out of the game for mine. Earlier on in the game, and I won't take too much time, but I'll just throw a few comments in here. And earlier on in the game, all the forwards seemed to be, this is Carlton forwards obviously, seemed to be flying together and there was no one on the ground. And there were several occasions when entries went in that the Richmond small men and obviously their backmen were able to clear the ball quite easily. On the occasion that they didn't fly together, opportunities were executed only purely and simply because one was contesting in the air and obviously the ball came to ground. Now, you mentioned before about the mosquito fleet. Now, one of the things that probably my job was to do back then was to smash a pack and get the ball to ground and just let the swoopers come through. And Spinner will be able to tell you that because our game plan was to get it in long, get it in quick, get a contest happening, and then getting it to ground so that the mosquito fleet could go to work. So that was probably one of the things that stood out for me. The point that you made about icing the game, interestingly enough, in that last 4 or 5 minutes, to my mind, and I can stand corrected, but in my mind, it was almost like panic mode again. I mean, they virtually snatched the draw out of the jaws of a win, and Richmond snatched the draw out of a defeat. So the result for mine was probably fitting, although be it that both sides had their opportunities and both sides didn't capitalise on their opportunities.
Vin,
Vinny,
about
what did you think?
Vincent? Yeah, Vinny. I'll call you
Yeah.
Vinny. What do you think?
Well, actually, what Brownie was saying about the blokes going up, I think even in that last quarter, there's a lot of mistakes made. But one of the things I noticed is that, being a small bloke, you always try to position yourself near a big bloke because, they're going to contest the marks, and a lot of times they're not going to be able to take them, and the ball hits the ground. When Mackay went for that ball, there was 3 Richmond players, no Carlton players around him. And even so, he missed the mark by falling over. There were 3 Richmond blokes, and they just stood there and just then able to set it up from there. Now, I was just wondering, where was our little blokes? Why weren't they going over to help out? Because they could have stalled the ball, made it a ball up. Richmond wouldn't have got that ball back to centre half back and then across the other side. So I just think to myself that the little blokes have to always be around somewhere where the ball's going to be contested. Where it always following the big blokes.
Yeah, good point. That's a very, very good point. And by the way, we got some background there behind somebody. Just hearing a lot of background noise. No?
Yeah.
Joe, you've muted yourself.
Yeah, I was in a villa. They were standing behind me, so I tried not to get any sound for you.
Right, okay, righto. Well, what did you think of Brownie? If I could go back to you, let's talk about the big blokes. How did you feel about the way our big men contested the game? I'm speaking, of course, of the key position players in the forward line, such as Curnow and Mackay. And what did you also make of the games of our key defenders, such as Wiedering, Lewis, and even McGovern?
Well, the one that stood out for me for the game was Young. I thought he played an exceptional game in the back line. And I'm probably going to upset the apple cart here by suggesting this. I thought De Koning, he battled very well for the evening. I thought it was credible. I thought our forwards haven't quite worked out where they've got to be and what they've got to do and what their responsibilities are in terms of the game. On the occasion where Harry was actually moving up the ground, he looked a lot more dangerous on the move when he was heading up the ground than he was closer to goal. Now, one of the things that probably in our back line was that, and I have said this before, Vince, so I'm not speaking out of turn. I think I've even said it to Spinner on occasions. On the off-season, to me, one of the things that we probably should have done was go and recruited a general for the back line. Now, this was a guy that could direct traffic in pressure situations. And I thought that Wiedering's work was better up the ground than it was closer to goal again. And I just felt that in that pressure situation, in that last 3 or 4 minutes, the leadership of the back line was probably inconsistent to where it should be. Some of the decision processes with some of our back guys was pretty ordinary, particularly in amongst tight situations. One of the things that probably stood out to me was that McGovern's game wasn't terrific, and he made some pretty fundamental mistakes at crucial times of the game. Did it cost us? You could argue maybe yes or no. But at the end of the day, when you're in a situation where you've got that pressure situation in a very tight game, you need someone directing traffic in and around the back line.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point.
Vinny, what did you think about our on-ballers then? So Peter's given us the key defence and our small forwards. To me, I'm still the jury's out on Owies. And Jesse Motlop's young. I mean, then you've got the people like Paddy Cripps, Chera, Hewitt. Do you think, and even Sam Walsh, do you think he would have made a difference?
Yes, for sure. If Sam played, there would have been, another 30 possessions probably going our way, that would have made a big difference. But I think what I see is that our small blokes we don't kick enough goals.
Well, why is that, Vin? Well, why is that? Because, like you said,
I think that's positioning as well. Understanding when, reading the ball, reading where the packs are going to form, and either being in front or the side and be on the move. And I don't want to go back. Brownlee, you understand this in our day, but we had a lot of little blokes who would kick, a bag each week, 3, 4, 5. I haven't seen that at Carlton for years, where a little bloke will kick 5.
Since we had any bets.
Yeah, we rely too much on Curnow and Mackay. Now, if you have a look at some of the better sides, their goal kickers are spread over 10 players.
Yeah.
We don't have too many players. Mackay might kick 4 or 5, and Mackay might do the same, and then we'll drop away to 1 or 2 goals by somebody else. But we don't get too many goals from our small forwards.
Mm.
So it's a bit more maybe cohesion, playing together a little bit longer, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So
but Vinny, don't you think? Sorry, mate. Keep going.
No, I was
going to start. Sorry, I was going to say, don't you think the forward coach would tell the smalls to hang around the feet of Mackay and Curnow?
Yeah, sometimes, Joe. Sometimes it's not just being at the feet of those players. It's being away from them and being able to move as the ball's coming, to be able to read the ball a bit. Sometimes you can, if you're on the feet of the player, sometimes you're not going to be productive there. So you've got to be able to read the ball a bit, see where they're going to try and punch it, and try and scout the packs, and just create goals.
So, Vin, do you think we have those type of players? Honestly,
yeah. Look, I think could develop into a. I don't know about the others at the moment. Yeah, I put it this way: you're not going to bank yourself and say, Ollie's is going to kick 3 goals for you in a week. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's ever kicked. He might have kicked 2, maybe. I'm not too sure. I don't know the stats, but I don't think you can sort of bank on, those little blokes getting too many goals for you. So the thing is, we didn't score many goals, and we were lucky because if you ever look at the other games, there was high scores, and if we don't have other blokes kicking goals other than Mackay and Curnow, we're not gonna get there.
No, exactly. So Vince,
yep.
Give me I'm trying to think of the word. Tell me what do you think? Are we better this year than last year? I know it's one game. What even with who we've recruited, what do you think?
Well, I guess the short answer is that we beat Richmond this time last year, and this year we didn't. So
we're still undefeated.
It's a bit hard to say we're better based on that game.
Still undefeated.
I think it is. No, that's trying to milk it. Look, the fact is we drew with them this year. We beat them last year. So, if you want to judge it purely on that, well, then the answer is no. But I think it's too early to judge any team just yet. What I did notice is that we had outscored them in 3 out of the 4 quarters. And in fact, 3-1-19 to 1-4-10 at quarter time. That was almost double their score. 4-6-30 to 2-4-16. Again, almost double their score at half time. And we kicked 2 goals, 1 to 1 goal, 2 in the last quarter. The only one where we really let ourselves down was the third quarter, where they got the jump straight after half time and kicked the first 3 goals to take the lead. And then it was almost goal for goal after that. But we seem to have these patches in games where we do concede consecutive goals. That doesn't seem to have changed all that much.
No, the red time.
I was just going to ask the guys, what do you think causes that sort of lapse? And how did you feel during the game? Did you feel we had control of the game at any stage, or did you always feel a bit worried that Richmond could come hard at us.
Peter?
Like Vince Spinner just said then, I'm at a loss at this stage as to see where they're going to get their goals from, unless the big forwards are the ones that are actually going to kick goals. There's not enough input from the runners and not enough input from the flankers, I don't believe. And I know I'm speaking back in the old days, but that basically your mids or your attacking backmen are not going to score you your goals. Interestingly enough, you mentioned something about forwards before, and what you thought about how we're supposed to be improving that in that area. Well, one of the things that's been my bugbear, and Spinner will probably agree with this, is that kicking around corners is one of my greatest bugbears. Now, I'll admit, I'm the first to admit, I wasn't a great kick for goal, but I missed them all by kicking straight and not kicking around corners. Now, when you do, there is a situation where you can kick around corners if you're really tight on the boundary or something like that. But realistically, if you're 30 metres out on a slight angle, you shouldn't have to kick around the corner. You should be able to kick through the goal. There was a pointed case Harry had a shot at goal where he kicked it around the corner, missed it, and then about 2 minutes later he had a set shot, basically from the same area, and shanked it and missed it. And Harry's got a natural left hook. He's a left footer. They all do exactly the same thing. And Spinner will tell you when if we had a bad day kicking for goal, you can guarantee we were out there at the next Tuesday night or Wednesday night or Thursday night. We were lining up for goal and we had to shoot at least 50 or 60 shots at goal. And one of the things that annoys me is that even at junior level, and I've got grandkids now that are playing at junior level, and while they're warming up, none of them stand in front of goal and have a deliberate shot. They kick around corners all the time, or they kick the dribble kick, or they do something fancy rather than directly and deliberately have a shot on goal. Now, not only Harry did it, if you remember, Bolton did it, and he had a chance to do it again. He was 30
Joe,
metres
can you
out
just
in the
mute
same
yourself
game.
for a second?
They all ran in to try and shepherd for him. He kicked it around the corner and missed it.
Yeah. What did you think, Vinny?
About what? Sorry.
About the sort of points that Brownie's bringing up, the kicking for goal. You were a bit of a sharpshooter yourself back in your day. Did you ever kick around the corner like that from 30 metres out?
Nah. We didn't even know about that, I don't think.
You guys used to thread the eye of a needle from 30 metres out right on the boundary line, didn't you? You didn't do any of these banana kicks and check sides and Peter Dacos style goals, did you?
No, that's right. I mean, look, things have changed. I mean, they're probably used to what they're doing. Mackay must feel comfortable doing what he's doing, because otherwise he'd go back and kick drop punts,
Sure.
So
the question is, though, if you're in a situation in a tight game where, he's got the ball and he's 35 metres out and he might be on a bit of an angle, but the siren's gone. Well, you're not allowed to move off your mark, are you? So
that's right.
That means that if you're not usually setting it up, as a straight shot without moving off the mark, you might be found wanting in those situations. Mightn't you?
For sure.
Hey, Vince.
Yes,
sorry. I just got to cut out for 1 minute. I'll just leave the three. I'll be back in 1 second.
No worries, Joe. All right. Looks like it's the three of us, boys. Now, just quickly, I guess we should look at who we thought were the better players on the night. Who would you have given your 3-2-1 to, boys? Even though we drew the game, just the best Carlton players on the night. Who would? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah,
I don't think I've asked you this in advance. I know
Yeah,
it
I
was
thought
already
Chil-
3 nights ago, but do you remember who you would have given your 3, 2, and 1 to?
Yeah, I think Hewitt was the guy that I was. He
Yep.
gets a lot of the ball.
He was our highest possession winner with 28.
Yeah.
He had 10 kicks and 18 hand passes, 5 marks, and 4 tackles, and one of our highest raters on the ground. Yes, you're right. Yep.
Yeah. He doesn't kill them with the ball, but he gives it off to players. You know what I mean? So he gets a lot of the ball. I think Brownie was pretty impressed with Young. Young, I think, played well.
Yep. No doubt.
Yeah, and I think our backline was steady, but they're under a lot of pressure because, I mean, Richmond, but he had 20 more, forward entries, and it makes it hard. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that the back line coped pretty well? Because that's what I thought. I thought, considering the amount of forward entries, to only allow Richmond 8 goals, 10 on the night was a pretty good effort. And I know that Richmond had their own opportunities that they stuffed up. Like, I think it was, what's his name, number 29 there? His name escapes me. Shea Bolton. Now, he was 30 metres out and went around the corner and stuffed it up too. So, yeah, they had their own culprits when it came to kicking like that in front of goal. But, I think in general, the defence stood up pretty well, and quite a number of our key position players took a number of marks. As you said, Young took 8 marks. Wiedering took 11. Some of those are little dinky kicks around the back line, I understand that. But Doherty also had 8 and McGovern 7. How would you rate McGovern's game, other than some of those little stuff-ups like the very first 30 seconds of the game where he dropped the mark and Dusty Martin kicked the opening goal?
Yeah.
I thought...
Yeah, look, I think he's just got to play a bit more footy there before he can, I mean, don't really know much about what he's supposed to be doing. I mean, sometimes what's interesting is that you don't know what the roles are, and sometimes you watch a game and they haven't got many possessions, but the coach has been happy with their game. Yeah. So you don't know the actual game, what their roles are and what they're supposed to do. So
I would imagine that the role for McGovern would be as in a bit like his brother at West Coast, a bit of an intercept defender where he intercepts, those forward entries and takes marks that the opposition don't expect. What do you think, Brownie? Do you think much of his game?
I thought for his first one for this year, I thought that he would have to improve, because he was in a situation where last year he was playing as a forward, and this year they put him back in that role in and around half-back, which, as you rightly pointed out, his brother at West Coast had the intercept role rather than being in a situation where he was relied on. Now, I won't go too harsh on him for the first one in for the year, but some of the mistakes with the experience that he's had, I thought would have been a little bit better. So I would envisage that there would be an improvement there from McGovern. I thought Wiedering's work up the ground was better than what it is closer to home. And when you said what your votes were, I would have given Young probably 3. I would have given Doherty 2, and possibly I would have gone for Hewitt or someone like that for 1. So there was a few of them in there. A couple of our mids were probably reasonably good. Sarah wasn't bad, and I thought that was probably an area of improvement. Interestingly enough, the game itself, it looked like to me like Carlton had quite a lot of the play but couldn't convert, although you did say that Richmond had more inside 50s. And if I was really, really critical of the situation, our skipper probably for the first 2 quarters of the game wasn't as relevant as he was in the last 2 quarters. I can stand corrected on that if anyone would like to jump in.
No, you're about right. No, that's fair comment. By the way, Vinny, I forgot to get your number 1 vote. I think you went Lewis Young for 3. Sorry, Hewitt for 3, Lewis Young 2. Who would you give your 1 vote to?
Doherty.
Doherty. Right.
Hey, Vince, just in case I drop
By the way,
out.
before you continue, Vin, Joe, I don't know what that racket is behind you, but it's really bad. Can you just mute yourself unless you're going to talk? Come on and talk whenever you want, but in the meantime, it's very distracting. Sorry. Go on, Vin.
Hey, just going to say, just in case I do drop out, I just noticed my I've only got about a couple % left on my phone.
No, that's all right. No, we weren't expecting you
if it drops out
for half an hour, but anyway, it's very good of you to join us.
Yeah, no, if it drops out, I'll say goodbye now.
That's all right. No worries at all.
Just in case.
Okay. No problems. Well, look, boys, I guess on that basis, I'll just get you to both give us your final comments about the game and also how you see the team shaping up for this week against Geelong, who also lost to Collingwood on Friday night. So how do you think we're going to go up against the reigning premiers this coming week? And if you had any more comments to make about last Thursday night's game, now's the time to do it. What do you think, Brownie?
Firstly, comments about last Thursday game. I would say that I won't be too harsh about it, but I thought there was room for improvement. I thought that particularly in tight situations where leaders need to stand up, I think that's really something that we've got to improve on, particularly if someone's got to take the reins. I'd be interested in just a quick comment from you guys about the thought of when things get tight, is there no one there that demands the ball? I mean, going back over the years, you're in a situation where, the Stephen Kernahans, the Mark McClure's, if you want to go back even further, Robert Wals's and things like this.
All great centre-half forwards.
They were always demanding the ball. They were, even if they didn't get it, at least they were demanding the ball. And I just think that in that situation, I think when it really gets tight, that's the time for people to stand up and want to be leaders, not followers. Do I think they still panic? I thought Joe made an interesting point about that earlier on. I think that they still haven't got that quite down pat in terms of being able to ice the games. Spinner made some interesting points before, and that was that for the first one out, do you make excuses for them? You can. Carlton supporters and long-suffering, are they sick of making excuses? I have no idea at this stage.
No doubt. I don't think there's any doubt about it. They're sick and tired of the excuses. It's been 10 years out of the finals.
I think, a captain's role in this situation is not only just to obviously play well himself, but to make sure that the players in and around him are actually contributing and doing their. And Spinner put a finger on this before about what role they're playing for the night. And I think that I think that in that situation where it's tight, I think it's the role of the skipper to pull them in quickly, give them some instructions, and then try and get them to follow that through. Moving forward,
so from that point of view, do you think that's the one area that Patrick Cripps needs to work on more than anything else as the captain of the club?
Yes, and to be quite honest with you, I'm never captain. I did a junior level, but nowhere near the level of this. But we had back in the 70s, and I know that's a long time ago, and things have changed and everything like that. But you had leadership that actually took control. I'm talking about the Mike Fitzpatricks of the world. I'm talking about guys like
Jesselenko.
Jesselenko. He was captain coach at the time.
John Nichols, even before him.
And look, even Stephen Kernaghan did exactly the same thing. John Nichols did it when he was captain coach and things like that. But and it's interesting. You watch other sides and you see their leaderships in amongst there. And I think, a great adversary of Carlton is Collingwood, and you could not say that Pendlebury was not a leader. He's the type of guy that, you know, if things got really tight, he'd pull him in, he'd have a word to him, etc., and he'd get the best out of him. Now, it's not a criticism of Patrick. All I'm saying is that this is an area that we need to improve on to be able to become a better side.
No doubt.
Against Geelong, and I won't hog too much of it, but against Geelong, Geelong's got a lot of injuries, and that was evident from the game against Collingwood. And I think that Carlton would have to improve to give a fright to the reigning premiers.
Can you guys hear that noise in the background?
Yes. Just mute yourself again, Joe, and we'll see if it goes away. No, it's not you. One of you guys? Maybe it's Vinny's phone going just about on the blink. Not sure. What about you, Vinny? Let's get you on to give us your thoughts. Maybe it was he's just gone.
It was Vinny. I think it was his phone telling him
he's
no
about
battery.
to go.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was
anyway.
great to see Vinny.
All right.
Go,
it was good to see him.
His phone's gone on the blink, but maybe I should have got him to give us his views first before we got yours, Brownie.
That's all right.
But anyway, keep going.
Did you end up giving us a tip, Brownie? Are we going to win next week? What do you think? We're playing the reigning premiers, and they've already lost their first game, and their coach has already made excuses.
Yes, I heard that. You know, they wanted to blame the surface. They wanted to blame this, that, and the other.
Collingwood played on it too.
Oh, absolutely. And they scored very well on it. And
exactly.
There was no excuses where that was concerned. No doubt about that. I don't think at this stage, if I had to pick a side to win out of that game, I'd say Geelong will win it.
Okay. Pretty simple.
Even if they've got to do it without Tom Stewart, who appears to have sustained a knee injury as a result of slipping on that dreaded surface.
Yeah, look, I would suspect that Stewart will be out for a while. De Koning will probably have a question mark over the top of him. Don't forget, their backline's not just in and around those two, although Stewart is a real general back there. There are other players that can fill the role in that situation. Look, there's a question mark over Hawkins as well, I'd say, because he looked like he'd gone down early. But again, the forwards of Cameron and these other guys, they're going to certainly test our backs. I think we can match it with their mids. Our forwards, as I said, would have to work it out a bit better and have some crummers to make an impact and hit the scoreboard.
Yeah. Okay. And Vince, can I just ask quickly? Oh, no, sorry, Joe, what is it?
No, I was going to say before we let Peter go, we'll give our summations later. But you sent me that article about Stephen Silvani not attending his son's 100th, and our esteemed friend Mr. Beach said, "Well, he's damned if he went and damned if he didn't go." But I would be erring on I would like to see my son's 100th, and for a club that I played. So Peter, you may know Sauce, you may know him very well, you may not know him very well. I don't know what your relationship is with him, but what are your thoughts on that before we let you go?
I agree with you. I think if your son's playing 100 games in any competition, I think it's important that you be along there to be able to support that. I don't know Stephen very well at all. In fact, his father coached me in the twos way back in the early 70s. And Serge was a coach with us for, I think he coached us for a couple of years in the twos. How
did you find him as a coach? Can we ask you that?
Fundamental. There was no science about it. There was no, back in them days, it was completely different. The game was played on terms of beat your opponent and then have a good day yourself. And if you didn't beat your opponent he beat you. So and it was. And I've said this to you before, Vince. Back then, it was a very simple game. You know,
it was more fire and
I've got it,
brimstone.
or
It
it's
was
in
more
dispute.
fire and brimstone coaches, wasn't it? Like Barassi and all those guys that Tommy Hafey that just revved everyone up week to week. There wasn't much strategy about it, was there?
Well, I think nowadays they say in modern football as the game is 90% psychological and 10% physical. Whereas way back then it was win at all costs, and if you need to kick the shit out of your opponent, you did it.
You can't have that. So, Peter, we'd like to thank you very much for coming on the show. I know your time is valuable. Sunday night, 8 o'clock, you're probably watching, I don't know, Farmer Wants a Bride or something. No, you'd be doing something constructive. So, look, mate, the invitation, it's an open invitation. If you ever want to come on, Vince has got your details. Mate, next time, maybe you can come and join me here in the villa in Samui, and we can both sort of have a cocktail and thumb Vince.
Fantastic. That sounds great. If it's a new show, I've probably destroyed it in one night.
Not at all.
I think I did with the start. But anyway, Peter, thank you for coming on. And like I said, anytime you want to come on, mate, you just let Vince know and you're more than welcome.
Thanks very much.
See you,
Enjoy
mate.
yourself over there, and good evening.
I will.
Thanks, Brownie. Thanks, mate.
So, Vince, I'm sorry about
good with those two guys, eh? They were fantastic.
Oh, good. Well,
really good
until
join us as a special guest tonight.
Until Vinny's bloody camera ran out, but he did tell us. People who have just joined, I'm sorry, I screwed up the beginning. I thought I hit go live, but my mouse wasn't working. I've had to move. I'm in a really hot gym because they're singing and dancing, Vince, and it's even when I unmute my microphone for me to talk, you wouldn't have heard anything. But
not ideal.
John, it was great. No, well, unfortunately, some of us have to work for a living, but but Vince will aim to try and get all these different.
We'll line out all of the wrinkles, so to speak.
No, and you'll try and get us a special guest each week, won't you? Not every week. But,
I'll try.
No, but you outdid yourself this week, mate.
Vinny and Brownie have already agreed that every once in a while they're happy to come on. It won't be every week, but I think that you'll see them again at some point in the not too distant future. And we'll try and get some other, whether they be past players or coaches or people that are involved at Carlton in one way, shape, or form to come on and give us their thoughts every week.
So, Vince, I left Peter with a question, and then we'll talk about next week's game. Your son, you're now head of recruiting at, I don't know, Geelong.
St Kilda. Well, that's where he is. He's at St Kilda.
Well, let's just say it's Geelong, and your son's playing for Collingwood, and it's his 100th game. Do you show up? Do you think Sauce did the right thing or wrong thing?
Look, it's one of those things that only he can answer as to why he decided not to show up with the rest of his family. Because from what I can gather, his wife, Joe, and other sons all turned up there, as well as I think Jack's girlfriend, Grace. And they all had a big photo together, and Stephen decided that he would just wait in the car. Now, I wouldn't have made that decision personally, but does that make it right or wrong? I don't know. Maybe he's got his reasons. Maybe he was damned if he didn't, damned if he didn't. Because again, maybe someone would have reported the fact that here's St Kilda's list manager inside the Carlton rooms after a game. I don't think anyone would begrudge him to go into the Carlton rooms just for a photo with his son. But clearly, Stephen didn't feel right about it and made a personal decision not to do it. And I think if it wasn't for the circumstances around his departure, I think he would have gone down there. But clearly things haven't been left on good terms. And that's got to be the explanation as to why he chose not to go down there.
I tend to agree with you, but, at the end of the day, it's not about you, right?
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why I've just said that if it was me, I would have gone down and I would have
bad blood or no bad
been
blood.
happy
No one's
to
telling you to
take
kiss.
whatever flack came my way, because the only reason I'm in the Carlton rooms is purely to support my son, be there for a family photo with him on the occasion of his 100th game, and then simply walk out without having to talk to anyone at the club, any of the coaches, players, or officials, and then just leave. But clearly, Stephen didn't feel comfortable doing it, so that was a personal decision that he made.
Well, Sandra said, disagree. The bad term people are no longer here. Yeah, I agree. Look, I'm going to go out on a limb. I just think it was selfish of Sauce. I think it just showed sour grapes. It just showed that, it's all about me. It's not about my son.
Put himself ahead of his son, in your view.
That's what I think. People can agree or disagree. That's what makes the world, and this is social media, so we're all entitled to our say.
Yeah.
But that's enough on that. He didn't do it. It's happened. I'm sure he's explained it to his son, and his son is either happy or not happy.
Yeah.
This week, Vince, Carlton, Geelong. And you heard Brownie.
Well, hang on. Before we get on to this week, I asked the boys there 3-2-1 for the Carlton Richmond game. What about you? Who did you give your votes to for the week?
Pretty biased. I thought Hewitt was probably Doherty. Sorry, was our best. Closely followed by Hewitt. And there's a sprinkling of players you could have given one vote to. I thought Patrick Cripps. A lot of people saying he wasn't in his normal self yet, but he still got the ball. I did mention George Hewitt. I think he was a good player. I thought Jacob Wiedering held our defence quite well and probably deserves an honourable mention. He did quite well. But look, I've spoken to you about this. I spoke to Rocco. I've spoken to a few people. I'm still disappointed in our bottom six players.
Who would you regard as the bottom six?
Owies 1, Fisher 2. Lockie O'Brien, I know he didn't get much of the game, and the last minute showed why he doesn't get much of the game. Yeah, but he's not smart. You got to have football smarts, Vince. And he reminds me of a player that we had many years ago, Paul Watson, another left footer, right? Had ability, but just nothing up here. And I just think that he does dumb things.
You're talking about Matthew Watson, number 10?
What did I say?
Paul Watson.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Matthew Watson.
I think you were talking about Matthew
10.
Watson, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Matty Watson, yeah.
It was about 10 years ago. Yep.
I thought Jack Silvani wasn't serviceable enough. He's a good player, and I know he's capable of more than that. But
what about the two debutants in Cowan and Ollie Hollands?
I think they equipped themselves quite well. Lockie Cowan and Hollands. I thought they equipped themselves quite well, considering I didn't think Hollands would get a game so early. Yeah, very slightly built, and wasn't scared to put his body on the line. Nor was the other guy Cowans. So I thought they did enough.
I don't know about you, but what worries me about Ollie Hollands' game is that I think they tabulated that he ran something like 17 kilometres.
Yeah.
And got 11 possessions. 5 kicks and 6 hand passes. For doing that amount of running is unbelievable. I hope he doesn't burn himself out doing those sorts of kilometres in a game for only 11 possessions. But I guess he'll learn with experience as to how best to use his endurance and how he can accumulate possessions by reading the play maybe a bit better in the future. But look, I thought it was an honourable debut game, and I thought Cowan also, while not getting a lot of the ball, he did well. Okay. He did okay.
They did well.
Well, I think the three most disappointing players on the field who played the entire game. No. I thought the most disappointing of all was Jack Martin. I just don't see what this guy contributes to the team for what he gets paid, to be honest. I thought Jack Silvani, apart from that opening mark and goal in the first quarter, really didn't do a lot after that. And Zach Fisher also kicked a goal early. But, again, was missing for the vast majority of the next 3 quarters. So
that's one of the big problems with him, Vince. That's one of my big problems with Zach Fisher is that he's too in and out of the game. Jack Martin, it looks like he'd rather be up in the stands watching than playing.
Well, my 3-2-1 for what it's worth, Joe. Seeing we've got times marching on, I'm just being mindful of the time. I actually gave my 3 votes to Lewis Young. I thought he was very admirable in defence. In fact, I thought the defenders did a sensational job for most of the night. And I gave him my 3. I gave 2 to Hewitt, who was prolific with the ball, 28 possessions. And, it just goes to show you how important he is to our team and how much missing him in those last couple of games of last year really hurt us. And I gave 1 to Jacob Wiedering. Again, he got a lot of the ball, 20 possessions and 11 marks, and I think he stood tall. That was my 3 best on the night. So, so there you go.
Right.
So, do you want to preview the Geelong game?
Yes, I've got to go soon. So let's go. 1, I'm going to ask you, Vince. Do we win? And if so, why? And if we lose, if so, why? So it's a bit of an open-ended question. So I want you to either say we're going to win because of this, or you think we're going to narrowly lose because of this, or we're going to get annihilated because of this.
Well, look, I think we can win. I think we can definitely win. In fact, I think we can beat most teams if we really get it together on the night. Geelong will be hurt a bit by some of those injuries, and even if they play some of these guys, they won't be 100%, I dare say. And look, I do think we can beat them if we address some of those areas that we were deficient in on Thursday night, and start making some smarter decisions with the ball, so that we actually maximise our scoring opportunities. I think that based on what I saw on Thursday night versus Friday night, the standard of the game on Friday night was far superior between Geelong and Collingwood than the game on Thursday night. At times, the game on Thursday night would have frustrated a lot of people watching because of the lack of scoring, the frequency of mistakes from both sides. If we play to that standard again next Thursday night against Geelong, I can't see us winning. But if we elevate our standards and become sharper with the ball and deliver the ball into our forwards better, and those forwards, when they get the ball, make some smart decisions in how they go about their forward craft, well, then I think we can win, yes. Am I expecting to win? No, but I think we can.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same boat, Vince. If we play the same brand of football look, the opening 15 minutes was actually quite good. It was quick. It was high pressure. Yeah, we got a goal kicked against us, but we kicked some quick goals, and then we just went to sleep. Someone mentioned it earlier. We have far too many passengers in our team. We always rely on Wiedering, Cripps, Doherty. Even Sard on. I was really disappointed with Sard's game on Friday night. He kept getting run down, and he knows what they're going to be like. They're just going to touch his jumper when he bounces the ball, and the umpire will pay dropping the ball. Can we win? Yes. Will we win? My heart says no. I think we will. I think we'll lose by a goal or 2. I hope to be wrong, but you can only go on what we can see last week. To me, it just doesn't look like they've learnt any new tricks. We seem to go down the wings and then kick them into the guts.
Can I ask you this?
Slingshot back. Ask me.
That last goal by Lynch essentially tied the scores, and there were only 17 seconds left in the game. If he had missed that shot and we won the game by 5 points, would we be talking like this? That's another thing I often wonder, how much our own mindset is affected by the eventual result of the game versus
Yes.
how we played and an assessment of the actual the entire 4 quarters. I'm not making my judgment on just because we drew the game or we didn't win the game. I just wasn't impressed with the standard of play. That's all I'm saying.
I'm the same as you, Vince. If we'd have won that game, it would have been a miracle. But I just don't like our delivery into the forward line. And I don't like our defensive structures when we don't have the ball. To me, it looks exactly the same as last year. And Jimmy, you're probably right. You need to wait a month of football. It's hard to make claims after one. We're not making claims. We're just saying we don't see anything new. So
I'll tell you one thing, though, Joe.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing that Michael Voss would have been bothered by a lot, and that is that in his first year as coach, we seem to really pride ourselves on the contested ball, and he turned us into a real contest team. Mm-hmm. That's where we won a lot of the ball last year, and that was the basis of a lot of our wins last year. That game on Thursday night, I feel that we got beaten at the contest, and we had to find a different way of staying in the game. It was almost like counter-attack when the opposition's got most of the possession in a game like soccer. When the opposition's got most of the ball, well, then you've got to try and win the game by counter-punching, and that's essentially what we did. But that's not how Michael Voss would have wanted to win the game. So
no, exactly.
How we go about changing that this week, I'm not really sure. But hopefully a lot of the players that were a bit quiet on Thursday night find their feet next Thursday night. So anyway, Vince, it's 7:20 again on Thursday night, our second Thursday night game in a row.
Okay. Well, on that note, Vince, we'll sign off. So once again, I'd like to apologise. I thought I'd hit go live and I missed the first few minutes.
You don't want my Omen Bet of the week. I gave you a real.
Well, I was going to say, Vince, do we want to have your Omen Bet, or do you want to go out on a high? I'm happy for you to do it.
No. I actually found a good one for you, Joe.
Go.
It's last week I gave you a
$4.80.
A $4.80 winner at Mildura called Promise Me Heaven, based on what I thought the club was doing.
Okay, so what's this week?
This week, you'll find that it's at Ballarat on Wednesday night. Okay. And
is it a harness?
Yes, Ballarat harness racing. And again, based on the result of last Thursday night's game, that's the basis upon which I'm choosing this particular runner, and it's race 7, number 4, and it's called.
And hang on,
have you got it?
No, we can't get it here.
It's called No Win, No Worries. So I thought that might be worth having a little flutter on. Of course, don't go stupid on it. Maybe a couple of shillings each way.
Put all your winnings from last week on it.
Well, you could use part of your winnings from last week. Maybe we'll run with that. But Ballarat race 7, it's Ballarat harness this Wednesday night. No win, no worries, number 4.
All right.
A little bit each way, and I think you never know. You might come out in front.
Okay. So listen, I'd like to thank everyone who's joined us on our new channel. So in the blue, this is Blue Sunday on the Jumper Punch channel, brought to you by the team at In the Blue Corner. We will still be putting posts out on In the Blue Corner, but we will be transmitting on this show. So don't forget, hit the subscribe and like button. Also, don't forget, Jumper Punch, Tuesdays.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock with
and don't forget
Mars,
Wednesday
Rocco
as well.
and Paolo.
They've got the new show on Wednesday night, Joe, at 7 o'clock called...
Yeah, what is it? Forever
Rivals. FOUR, Forever Rivals. And that's, of course, with Rocco representing Carlton and the other 3 boys representing Essendon, Collingwood and Richmond. It's a great new show. And then, of course, after that at 8 o'clock will be an interview. And I can share with our audience here that it will be an interview with past Carlton champion 4-time premiership player, the Dominator, Wayne Johnston.
That's good.
So,
all right.
On
that note, it's a good night from me, and
it's a good night from him, everyone. Good
see
night.
you next Sunday.
Go Blues.